Hello everybody, welcome to the Vtuber video. I am Robelle Autonomy, and today we are reacting to an Arknights Endfield video. It looks like it is an operator's story. I'm guessing this is their equivalent of character trailers, so I'm really quite excited to hop into this. Anyways, I am basically from outside of the Arknights community. I haven't played a base Arknights, I don't know too much about the lore, but we're gonna try and jump into this trailer and see if I can spot any details. I will be breaking it down, going over the animation frame by frame, as that is how my reactions tend to go. And then after we've broken it down, gone over all the cool animation techniques and all the cool details they put in, I will be replaying it and watching it without pausing so we can take in the music and also all the voice acting and everything else it has to offer. Really excited to hop into this. I'm really excited to make more Arknights reactions and content. Really excited for this game. It's just aesthetically pleasing. I love how the character designs are. I love how the world, like lighting and the world feel is. It's just so good. But let's hop right into this. Let's see what they can do. See what they brought to the table. Now here we go. We got Chen Qianyu, the Swordbearer. Is there like subtitles? Auto-generated, hang on. Alright, never mind. No subtitles. We don't need them. Alright, this is already really cool. This isn't like something crazy, super duper ultra insane from an animation standpoint. They essentially animated a book opening, which that is pretty cool. And then they overlaid a kind of see-through version of the character over top. Though what I find really interesting and really cool is the pages kind of had the spading effect across it, which really does it separates the pages essentially. It makes them really look more, that's three-dimensional because that's not the case here. But it does make it look like it's flipping through the different like animations that she's going through here. It is animated at 60 FPS. Very interesting. As you can see, the book is animated at a higher frame rate than the character because we can go multiple frames over. And the character is not moving at all. And that's because the character is animated at what I presume to be 24 FPS, at least that's the standard, or it could be even less. And that contrast of the book moving very smooth and the character moving not smooth, it makes them look kind of choppy, like they're in a storybook. Very cool.
Sovereign.
Transitioning it into a stick, that's sick actually. That's good directing, by the way. So I'm gonna point this out, alright? What the director does is they decide the shots, right? The cinematography. And it's really interesting that they kind of slowly zoom into the book here. When we see the character, they're centered. Now, of course, you'd think the person watching is always going to be looking at the center of the screen, but that's not actually true. Our eyes are up here in the corner because that's where the character's eyes are. So that's where we're looking.
Sword.
But then we see her arm raise up, and it brings our attention back down here. And then we follow the arm to go to the stick in the center.
Sovereign of all arms. 3 feet in hand, merely the mind's extension.
Now, it's definitely going to be a lot harder to go over this frame by frame because they animated this at 60! Those monsters. Now, of course, I'm saying monsters, but it is very much a very similar amount of work to animating that 24 FPS. It's more or less just, rendering out the video with your keyframes and then having it decide if it wants to render at 24 or 60. But when you animate your trailers at 60 FPS, you have to be very intentional with how you portray things. So in a sense, it's essentially an artistic choice. And actually, I can see why they wanted to go for that 60 FPS. They really wanted the character's movements to be extra snappy, but they wanted you to see like every little detail in the movements. Then the swings are very quick, actually not even lasting that long. So her arms are drawn in, she's gonna do a big slash. And there are a lot of frames, it's not even loading for me. Yeah. But you can see like a dang chunk of the sword arc as she swings. Whereas normally, what you would animate this, you would have maybe like only a couple of frames of the action itself, and then more frames of like the results of the action. But here we're seeing a lot more of it. It just feels very smooth, very clean. Having rotating things too, like having these spin around on this little martial arts dummy, it's very, very much good for showing off that it's at 60, and it looks better at 60 because when you have stuff spinning around at a lower frame rate, it does look very choppy. So having this high frame rate is very clean. Also, dang, the sweat was rendered so clean! That was sweat, right? Or was it a tear? Dang, we got anime girl sweat in this trailer. That's already insane to me, just in the sense that, like, these gacha characters, they're never really shown to have, like, bodily fluids, if that makes sense. Like, they're never sweating, they're, you know, you always see them crying, and that's the extent of it.
Sword mirrors spirit. E.
Oh wait, that flippin' hand fading in is sick. What the heck? Okay, I'll be honest, I can't even break that down. I have no idea what's happening here, but it looks cool.
Ease follows mastery.
Okay, flippin'... Gosh dang, this shot is sick! As we can all see, this is why I'm so hyped for Arknights Endfield. We have such a strong visual language. And not saying that the other gacha games don't have strong visual languages, but Arknights is especially sharp and clean. Like, there's a lot of this modernism and simplicity that's happening here that's really, really, like, just absolutely shocking to see in these gacha games. Because everything kind of tends to have a fantasy aesthetic. With, like, maybe our most modern-looking, currently out gacha game that we're seeing for the major ones being Zenmason Zero. Which, that has more of a retro feature kind of design, so you've seen a lot more round things, but Arknights is sharp, lots of sharp lines. They're using this, like, dotted texture that, I don't know what it's supposed to represent, maybe, like, you know, the screws and some machinery. But, it's just all the visual language. They're putting random shapes in front of you, and it's selling this idea of minimalism and sharpness, like it's industrial, and I love it. Dang, those impact frames are really good too, what the heck? Like, this is such a sick thing. You have the characters outline, and then the actual, like, vision of them is back there. That's what they actually look like. And, like, the way it smears. It's like she's going so fast. Let me zoom in. And she's completely blurred the entire time. They're not really trying to show off the character just yet. And then into the effects line. I'm so interested in, like, what the world is like. Because, like, these characters aren't super duper dressed in, like, high-end clean gear. Like, this kid is literally wearing rags and stuff. So it's like, clearly there's some kind of poverty going on in this world. But then this old guy, he's got, like, some super clean, like, uniform gear going on. And then our playable character, of course, Chen here, is very well dressed. I do wonder if they'd be willing to release a character that's just in rags. And, like, keep their design interesting. You can even see people running around with cloths. Or maybe those are logs? Okay, they are indeed logs. I completely misinterpreted. I thought they were carrying rags around. But I thought they were rolled up, but no, it's logs. And again, storytelling through the transition here. Alright, these kids are carrying logs. And then we cut to her, lighting a fire. I'm guessing for... maybe, well, she was poking the sticks with her sword. Is it just the... okay, it's are they cooking, or... What is her plan here? Just staying warm? I don't know. Dang, so the sword is... she's not very respectful of the sword. It's literally just another tool for her. I kind of love that. So, a lot of these games have this character in their legendary sword, the weapon is an extension of yourself. You have to treat it with perfect proper care. And then you have Chen here. She's the Swordbearer, but she's like poking the fire with it. She's using it to chop firewood. She's the flippin'... What is she even doing? Yes, she taped the thing to the top of it. Yes, taped the flippin' broom to the top of it so that she can dust the window. And she's carrying the flippin' dim sum. Oh my goodness. She's saving the bird. Again, that's very interesting. Normally, any other portrayal of a bird's nest, the bird is trying to kill you, but she's saving it and the bird is okay with that. Absolute harmony. It's a fishing rod for you? Okay.
I can be a hero?
I hope she sharpens it regularly, but also if you sharpen it regularly too much, it is gonna lose a lot of material. Dang, the fishing rod failed. Probably not good to tie it to a sharp blade. I am very much enjoying how they're animating dual-wielding because if we're gonna be realistic, dual-wielding swords, more often than not, doesn't look good unless you're throwing fantasy powers everywhere. But she's not throwing fantasy powers around, she's like slashing the martial arts dummy. And so the choreography for that is very, very hard to do because, well, dual-wielding means your brain is split between two swords. And so keeping track of both of them, edge alignment and all that, it's very hard. So to do the choreography for that, it's pretty hard. Gosh, I can't speak today. Anyways. So they're making it look really, really good. Typically, if you had somebody mocap dual swords, it tends to look pretty dumb. And so usually there's anime reliance on like fantasy powers. Like they throw out a slash and then like flipping lasers fly out of the sword or something. Or like wind pressure or all kinds of stuff. Or all the emphasis is in a big strike with using the multiple swords. But she is doing lots of swings, lots of slashes. And her arms are never crossing in very weird ways. It looks natural. She's making dual-wielding swords look really, really good. Not saying that dual-wielding swords is completely unnatural, it's just hard to make it work in an anime setting because in real sword fights, when you're fighting someone that's dual-wielding swords, odds are the fight ends in like 2 seconds because someone got stabbed. Or slashed. And she's fighting herself. The art style of this game, I love how clear the different strands of hair are, but yet it's still blocked out like it's anime hair. And yet they have such realistic, it's not realism, but like such detailed and textured clothing. But they still have the anime faces, but it's not fully like cel shaded. It's like there's a very subtle gradient to it, so it feels more... Saying like clay is not correct because usually people compare, plasticine and clay looking models to something that looks bad, but in this case it looks really, really good. And the way they do water in their engine is so good looking. But I think this is probably one of the strongest points of Arknights Endfield. Or not of Endfield, but of Enfield's art style, and except their water looks really good and doesn't clash with the character's art style. Everywhere else, they have to make the water like a solid color, or I guess Wuthering Waves does aim for realistic looking water as well, but it has this kind of like... It feels like game water. Whereas the water in Arknights Endfield, it feels like movie water, animated movie water. And she is styling on these guys.
Real peace sings of fire crackle and hindsight.
I want to watch that again.
Yet real peace sings of fire.
The way she's swapping the sword between like backhanded grip and then like regular grip is really cool. By the way, backhanded grip is not effective IRL that often, so they're really cooking, like pushing these kind of really anime or fantasy fighting styles into a more somewhat realistic medium with this, like, more detailed art style. With double, quadruple spin.
Even the sharpest blades were once raw iron, forged by fierce fire.
This is so sick. Eyes up for guys. Like, the water looks so good! This is crazy looking! Ah, wait, hang on, go back. No, that was sick. Strong typography. Again, their design is so good. Oh my goodness, like... see, there's so much happening, so... Okay, we have lots of lighting effects with the lightning here to show that it's essentially they're mimicking impact frames, but in engine. I don't think this is drawn out, more like it... If it is drawn out, then they did a really good job of making it look natural. But I think it's more like in-game lighting. VFX work, and then... You can see that's the dummy. I think it probably got slashed in half, maybe. Or maybe it's just shrunken down, and then it cuts to these two. Again, the way the colors are swapping back and forth, very flashy, but not too irritating on the eyes. Hues and blur is so good. And blur is really important for a more realistic art style like this. Because you can't exactly, like, you know, squash and stretch characters like this, it would look uncanny. But at the same time, you can't, like, use regular smear frames, because again, that's what you do with squash and stretch when it comes to 3D models. You can't really smear these kind of realistic models, except for maybe the face. You want the faces to be very expressive. But if you saw their arms and legs bending in weird unnatural ways, it would be uncanny. So they're getting by using motion blur very cleverly. Wait, does it change what it says? Okay, no, it doesn't. It just gets cut in half. And then all of this like, this is such good, cool design stuff. So it's upgrade protocol, critical hit. It's saying the stats of what you just did, and no one is ever gonna read this, right? Only the weirdos like me that are pausing and going over frame by frame are gonna see this. And yet they didn't fill it with just random dumb information. I mean, it is random dumb information, but like it's still part of the striking art here, right? The draw speed, she drew her sword and did a swing in 0.019 seconds. Alright, the execute skill, and then it's some Yai Jutsu, and it's triggered, her draw speed, okay, it's sword draw speed is written twice for some reason. The status is a critical edge. All this random information that they put in is from the Dragon's Will, combat intent detected. This is just, you know, it's a bunch of useless information for the viewer, but it applies to the entire image as a whole. It looks sick. I want to see that too. I have no idea what this says. No, the Wesses, I don't know what that means. Oh, never mind. I looked at it too early. Alright, Sao slash. Okay, it's the name of the attack. What's happening? Dang, the camera is so dynamic. Now, what I'm finding very, very interesting here, now that we've watched a good chunk of this, is just the characters are actually moving super duper fast. Especially because of at 60 FPS, but what's important is because they're at 60 FPS, they can do their moves faster because they have more frames to work with. And what I mean by that is, if you had 24 FPS, and you had only 12 FPS to do that slash, right? Well, you only have 12 images. But this is running at 60. Alright, so if it's going to be a half a second, you have 30 frames, which means there's more visual information. We're seeing and perceiving more frames. And so, by having more frames within one single action, they can make that action happen faster. So a lot of their movements are like, I don't want to say unnatural, but it's very fast because the reader's eyes are actually able to register what they're seeing. Because there is more visual information.
Only in worldly days, in common ways.
She dropped her sword.
Learn to hold all your eyes have held.
I mean, that was just her imagination, right? She's still fighting the martial arts dummy. Oh, she stabbed her with the stick. Oh my goodness, alright. W particle effects, but also... This sword is producing way more mass and particles than what exists there. There is so much of it falling off and it's disintegrating so slowly, what the heck? thought she was just sleeping reading a book. This is all a dream. I'm a big fan of the tail. It's very cute.
It's about time. I'm here. Be right down.
I love the muted greens they're using. Well, they're not like super muted, but they're not super saturated either. And I really like that Arknights is going for this kind of desaturated look. It's interesting to see that, like, it sticks out now because all of the other gacha games are going for like this super vibrant look. Even Wuthering Waves, which started off super duper muted and like kind of gray, brown, a little bit dull, which was on purpose to stick out, they ended up shifting to a more colorful and bright art style when they moved to Arena Sita for their version 2.0. But Arknights is like really like sticking with this kind of desaturated muted look because the characters have highlights of color that really stick out. And then also like the lighting on these little, on the industrial stuff, those stick out even more too because everything else is so muted. Interesting. Alright, let's watch it again. Without me pausing and bringing all the animation down, I love just looking at the animation in these trailers. I don't know what it is, but gacha games, when they do character trailers, at least the modern ones, and the new high-end ones, they go all out, and it's like, every single gacha trailer is just like such an insane work of art. There's so much effort put into it, and you wish that anime and stuff got this level of effort. But, it's not exactly in the development pipeline for how things work for anime and stuff. So, the anthology of Swordmancy. I'll be also looking more deeply into the music. Wait, that's the book she was reading at the end she had fallen asleep to.
The sword.
Oh, okay, so she was kind of looking back on her training, but... And this is where the... Okay, I see.
The mind's extension.
So she was reading a book the entire time and like kind of memorizing the martial arts within the book.
Sword mirrors spirit.
The graphic design of these trailers is so good. That is most definitely Arknight Enfield's like strong suit in terms of like sticking out amongst the crowd. Chen's a pretty interesting character. From my understanding, she's one of the starting cast. So like, this isn't like a max rarity limited unit. This is like something everybody's probably gonna end up having in the game. So seeing a character like that get so much attention and detail and loved from the animators and the devs,
I can be a hero?
gets me pretty excited that they're, you know, really gonna do their characters justice in Enfield. Of course, I can only say that from the outside. I have no idea how. I assume that she has a regular base Arknights version. And I don't know if we're doing justice to this character in comparison to that. I know some of the Arknights characters are in Endfield, or at least they're in like some kind of new version rendition of the same character. And I think Chen is one of them, probably. Maybe? Is she? Let me know in the comments down below. I really don't know the Arknights lore, so by all means, give me the context. I'm begging you guys.
Yet real peace sings of fire crackle and hindsight. Even the sharpest blades were once raw iron, forged.
This is so sick though. The choreography is really, really good. She ties up these guys and then goes in for a slash. The music's so sick too. It's like very traditional, but these crazy like techno synths in the background going off like insane. Creating this kind of like, it's modern, like super duper modern, very future-esque,
Common ways.
but also super duper traditional. I love that. Her like small child form with the tiny tail is really, really cute. I love the little tiny tail. But I also like that like her small form wasn't the focus of the trailer, so it's like we don't really get a good look at how she looked like when she was younger. It's more about her modern self, her turning to age self. And actually, she was just reading her martial arts book on a roof on a beautiful day. I'm so excited to see the other characters. This is their first character trailer, and they kind of knocked it out of the park, I feel. Chu Xiao. Alright, so that's definitely not the sword she was wielding. So I'm curious, is there a significance to this sword? Or is it? Wait, hang on. Let's go back and look at the sword she was wielding. There's gotta be a shot where me get a clear look at it, please.
Carries weight.
Is that the sword she was wielding? I don't think it is. Oh no. No, it is. That's the same symbol. The handle looks a little bit different though, but I could just, not be paying enough attention. Anyways, I guess that's it for the reaction. I probably noted a little bit too much. Alright, you flippin' our dear Arknights viewers, please get used to that if you're gonna watch my reactions. I always like to just really take in the animation before I digest the trailer in and of itself, because you notice more details when you watch it that second time. So I break it down first, then we go over it in all that wonderful, not pausing, non-PowerPoint reaction. Anyways, I am excited for the game. This trailer is pretty sick. If anything, it just goes to show how beautiful the art style for this game is. I'm so excited to see it. I can't wait for it to release in 2026. I did not get into the beta, I am big sad. Anyways, with that one, hope you enjoyed the reaction. If you liked the video, please give me a like and let me know in the comments down below how excited you are for Arknights Endfield. Are there any details I missed? Is there core Arknights lore that really adds context to any of these scenes? Please let me know down below. And if you watch this far and you're not subscribed, then that means you enjoyed the content, which means you should probably subscribe. And it'll let you know. If you hit the bell notification, it'll let you know when I upload next videos. I'm gonna react to more Arknights content. I also cover Zenless Zone Zero, Wuthering Waves, and a little bit of Genshin Impact, although I'll be honest, I have slowed down with Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact just because I've been so busy due to the holiday season. But that's how things are. Anyway, with that one, I'll be all to remember, and 10 ways are nice, so I will see you all next time. Bye!